with the news that Scarlet and Violet has nerfed recovery moves to have almost no PP, then there has been a general rejoicing over that fact, as it results in a perceived death blow to stall. Now, we don't know if this is actually going to be the case or not. The games aren't even out yet, but that means I know just as much as you, which is awesome. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video is not to offer a definitive opinion on yes, this is going to be good for the metagame, or no, this is going to be terrible for the metagame. I just wanted to offer an alternate viewpoint, because just while skimming through the general reactions a lot of players have had is, oh yeah, stall, should be obliterated, and stall players should all be kicked in the face, and all this other great stuff. In addition to the off-putting, internet tough guy routine, there was another thing that stood out to me with this, insane happiness over the prospect of not having to face defensive teams anymore. And I wanted to offer this counter view to it. And the funny thing is that I know I talk slow, which is probably already testing your patience if you are the kind of player who doesn't like facing stall teams. And this replay is also on really slow mode. I'm not even watching it. Anyway, so it's actually the point that this replay is on really slow mode. You know what? Just to test your patience even more, there, we're back to turn 0. So let's just stare at that team preview for a while. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video and testing your patience is to illustrate an overall point that I don't love in the player base. I'm not faulting anyone for it personally, unless they decide to get aggressive about it. Like, I've already seen a bunch of people talking about how hyper offense is the only true playstyle, and it didn't seem like much of a joke is what made me go from, oh yeah, they're just messing around, to, because, there's only so much that I can see someone calling other people virgins over their preferred Pokemon team style before I start to think, yeah, I don't think this is entirely satirical. I don't think this is fully a joke. So here's my alternate viewpoint, and feel free to just excoriate me in the comments and saying you have no idea what you're talking about and you just want to spam stall. I will let you in on a secret, though. I don't really like full stall. Not because it's boring to play with or whatever, but because I don't think it's that good generally. Because I like to be not necessarily in control of a game, because you can never guarantee you're in control of a game, but I find that full stall, with its inherently reactive playstyle, and you're always on the defensive, and you have no tools to force the opponent to react to you. And so, while I like my bulky Pokemon, I like my defense, I also like being able to actually hit the opponent. And it's pretty much impossible to do that with stall. And it puts too much into the hands of the matchup gods, which I don't love doing. So I do not say this out of the need to defend the stall playstyle, or the full stall playstyle anyway. Because there are some people who think that everything is stall, which is another matter entirely. But it does tie into my overall point, and I also realize I'm testing the patience of those who say, bro, you're all over the place, you need to write a script. I promise you, I will not write a script. So, that's my whole point, is that I think there needs to be more patience in the competitive Pokemon sphere. And I think that it's worth considering, if you really need the game to go really, really quickly. I don't know. I like when a game goes on for a while. Obviously, I have my limits, okay? I don't enjoy getting into 700-turn stall fest every other battle. But when a game really goes on, you really get into it. And I think that's a good thing. And I think wanting only playstyles that finish the game in 20 turns max to be viable, I think that's unhealthy. Now, I'm not trying to play armchair psychologist, especially for, a larger cultural thing. And I realize the internet makes everything go super fast, and it's the age we live in. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to get sociological on you today, did I? Did you, rather? But I would at least ask those who have probably already... Actually, no, I'm not going to make assumptions. Maybe people have clicked this video already. But here's the reason why... Well, actually, there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, the longer the game goes on, the less each individual turn matters, and thus their prediction matters less. And I mean like true prediction. I don't mean reading your opponent. I mean you are forced to resort to guesswork as opposed to making solid positioning plays because there's not enough information to go off of yet. And if you think, oh, well, prediction is what competitive Pokemon's all about, I hate to tell you this, but you are very, very wrong. And I have a video dedicated to it. Again, I'm not trying to be accusatory or anything, but there is a difference between reading your opponent and prediction and the general position you have in the game. The basic idea is if you have a Garchomp against 6 Heatrans, and they're not Air Balloon or Focus Sash or anything stupid. Let's stick with the hypothetical. If you have a Garchomp against 6 Heatrans, does it matter that your opponent can predict you're going to use Earthquake 6 times? No, it doesn't. So that's the general principle. Sorry, I had to close my window because an insect flew in. It's freezing out. Why are insects flying around? Anyway, so that's the number one thing. And the longer a game goes on, the better you can position yourself. In general, okay? I am speaking in generalities here. But you are more able to focus on yourself and how you are going to play the game as opposed to trying to soul read your opponent. And the shorter games go, generally the more you are forced into stuff like that. Games are quite often decided very, very quickly. We'll stick to the generalities rather than me going on a whole 50-minute rant. But they are generally decided very, very quickly, and there's little you can do to claw your way back into them. So generally, for practical purposes, if you want to know, hey, why should I like longer games? It's like, well, they help you win more, actually. They help you control the game. If you're, that good, then you will. This is why a lot of the best players gravitate to bulkier teams, by the way. Not hard stall, but teams that let them slow, or not even slow the game down necessarily, because a lot of bulky teams have switch moves out the wazoo and a big hitter or two and things like that, and a lot of speed too. But it allows them to more reliably control the pace of the game, and this does not make them, seriously, the idea of competitive Pokemon players calling each other virgins because they like a certain team stuff. Like, as a joke, okay, whatever. Not my kind, but sure. But, like, unironically. And number two, if you really... Here's my main problem with the idea of, I don't want the game to drag on forever. Yeah, okay, nobody wants to be sitting around for one game, for several hours, because that's not just not fun, but it's also, unhealthy. But the problem, if you want the game to be over with as soon as possible, are you really enjoying the game? Why do you want it to be over with so quickly? Why is it such a bad thing that the opposing player might use Protect? On an offensive Pokemon still, like Mega Alakazam uses Protect sometimes. But I've seen people try to fake out a Mega Alakazam with their Mega Lopunny, and the Zam protects, and so Lopunny can't fake it out anymore. And Zam goes from being forced out to forcing the Lopunny out, and completely changes the matchup on their head. And, it takes... And some players have gone, oh, come on, why are you using stall tactics? Why are you being lame? Now, I realize that, and there is an inherent don't use unfun stuff factor to competitive Pokemon. It's been around since the very beginning. But if you're being competitive, which most of the time you are, that's if you don't like the idea of people using good Pokemon and good moves and all that other stuff, then you really might be in the wrong game. And you don't change that or fix that, as if there's anything to fix, by being aggressive about it. Is that an ad? Yeah, it is. That's a really long one. For a bank, good lord. Anyway, but if you really, the whole idea is, if you really want the game to be over with so quickly, why? So you can get another game? I mean, look, okay, I get what laddering is like, right? But I also get that it's a pretty unhealthy mentality to have. So, I think that it is necessary to have a balance of offense and defense in a game, just because if everything is just offense all the time, I mean, that's just chaos. Every metagame I've ever played over my decade plus of competitive Pokemon that doesn't have sufficient defense to cover offense is unstable and really not conducive to skill, translating into winning, which is theoretically what competitive Pokemon should be, right? So that is why I personally am not excited for the nerfing of recovery moves. Regenerator's not being nerfed, though. That was just a rumor. Anyway, so I hope what I've said here has given you some consideration. You don't have to agree with me, but I hope it has given you something to think about. So thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next time. Oh wait, the game's not even over. That's actually hilarious. How does this one work out? I see a lot of this kind of thing in movie discussion too. Oh, the game just ended. But yeah, people will go, oh, I don't like, slow movies. It's like, that one I get a little more, but I think rather than blaming the game or the movie or whatever for being slow, I think it's generally healthier and better to embrace, more perspectives. Try and take these things on their own terms, as opposed to, positing without any sort of consideration whatsoever. No, this way is the right way, and any other way is inherently lame because of so-and-so reasons. So, yeah, I'll stop there before I go into a full sociological analysis. So again, thank you for watching. Hope this gave you something to chew on. And even if you disagree with me, that is totally fine. So, thank you for watching for the third time, and I will catch you in the next one.